think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Our goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. I want to talk about roadblocks in boxing. We're going to have to go over some definitions. We got to go over some scenarios. And we're going to see, like, who's really tripping. Like, what is boxing turning into? We know what the hottest thing in the streets is right now, unfortunately, / fortunately. Because you can't be mad at these folks getting paid, getting in where they fit in. You can't. If there's a will and there's a way, and somebody jumps in the way, you can't get mad at them. But speaking of getting in the way, I want to talk about roadblocks in boxing, man. It's kind of crazy. I know the thumbnail. You like, what's this thumbnail? What's that all about? This one. It's crazy. I had all these different scenarios. I had all these different scenarios from like the things Canelo's done. Like Canelo told David Benavidez that he needed to go fight Caleb Plant and Demetrius Andre. He just basically said Andre was a horrible fighter, and that was fine. People say, "Oh, he's done enough. He's done this and this." Then hit more like recently. Canelo told Bud to go fight Tio, and Tio was all in the camp and stuff here recently. So it's kind of weird because people let him say that. Like he's permitted to say that and do that, and that's not a roadblock, right? Then you have the time when Shakur told Schofield to fight Abdullah Mason. And that's like kind of crazy because Abdullah Mason, Keyshawn, Shakur, they all like you could probably you can't never bank on them fighting, but those are some of the hottest boxers in that division, and they grow in size because Abdullah Mason ain't no big boy, ain't no small dude, and Keyshawn and Shakur, they're gonna grow. They're not gonna be at 35 forever. They're going to be at 40 and ultimately 47, probably, more than likely. So that's something that we could never ask for. But when he said that, nobody said that was a roadblock for Schofield. And ironically, Schofield was so high in the rankings because he's like second behind Zepeda in line for Tank. Nobody said that was a roadblock. But once Coach Kenny said, hey, Abdullah got next. He one of the young up and coming. He a star. Everybody, oh my gosh. The only thing they can really hold against Coach Kenny right now is the coin flip thing. The Shakur coin flip stuff. Because they just, that and then when they would say, you can't do what we do. It's like, it's funny how people be keeping track of what people say, but that's only certain fighters or certain camps. But it's crazy because more recently, and I swear I didn't even know this. I had already done this. I was gonna do this as a regular video yesterday. But I swear in between me putting out the notification for this and this stream coming out, there's been so many things that pop up that confirm that, yeah, I'm not tripping about these roadblocks. I'm not tripping, man. I see them and it's so funny, man. It's like for a boxing fan that's paying attention, that got, you know, that I ain't gonna say that necessarily have the time, but makes the time to connect the dots. It's just crazy how we see everything and do different lenses. It'd be the same from a whole different lens. Now it's so ironic that I said this because this article was out yesterday. I was supposed to do this video yesterday. And yeah, I'm one of the types that do read articles. I read articles and put them out there. Why? Because I'll say something in the video, you know, just from looking and making up observations and doing my little content. And then 2 weeks later, it's printed up in an article or somebody saying it on another channel. And then that's news. And that's a credible source. So yeah, I tend to read articles because I can't use a lot of the stuff that I would like to. But I'm going to cite certain sources. And this article came out yesterday. And when I was just sitting around waiting, you know, getting ready to come out and do this, I was sitting around playing around. And then I seen a short from Coach Kenny. I'm like, man, like, I guess it's the universe, man. But Coach Kenny was on there basically saying or highlighting the fact, and I've said it plenty of times before as well. And that's why I'm like, man, I like Coach Kenny, a funny dude, man. And the way he put things out, man, it's like he be saying stuff without saying stuff, man. But he do it in a funny kind of way, man. You just gotta have been paying attention to him. But he's sitting up there saying that Andy Cruz is out here calling Keyshawn his daddy. He had this thing up and said Keyshawn. No, it said Andy Cruz, a 4-0 in the pros and 4-0 against my son. And that's why I said, man, it's so funny how, you know, when Coach Kenny said, man, all of the Tank haters, oh, they look at him, man, he putting up roadblocks, man. He always trying to, man, Tank ain't gonna fight nobody. They always get distracted, right? But I'm like, no, okay, that's a common gaslight thing because you're not keeping it subjective, man. The subject is, the subject matter is Andy Cruz is still out here calling Keyshawn his son. And there is a fact that, see, it's kind of different than the whole Shakur and Robisi thing, because you can see that at that time, Shakur was, I guess he was a smaller guy, man. But you can clearly see that they in different weight classes, man. Robisi is a little guy, man. He was, you know, a little guy. He was a older, but a little guy. So they just in different weight classes. The crazy thing about it is Keyshawn and Andy Cruz are in the same weight class. And Andy Cruz got the gold while Keyshawn got the silver. And Keyshawn gets so upset when people mention Andy Cruz. I'm like, man, like what? Like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it, man. I jumped off the train this past week, man, when I said, listen, man, you got to understand. If I were to get on this Keyshawn train, man, and support all this bullshit that's going on, I would have went through the D-Hive doing it, T.O. doing it, who else? That's almost enough right there. And then whoever else that people want to decide when the Frank ordeal happened, you know, you dealt with that. Like, man, it is exhausting. Oh, Shakur. How did I miss that one? So you got to think, man, as a longtime fan, man, especially as a Tank guy, man, it's like you got to think, man, I've been through the D-Hive era, man. It's exhausting when people be out here talking and everything they say is cap. Like, it don't lead to nothing but divided fans, man, and people getting all upset and crazy and whatever. But when you went through it with the D-Hive, when you went through it with Tio, when you went through it with Shakur, you got all the people that's from Loma, like, and now you got Keyshawn out of the blue. Like, it's exhausting when people get out here and they do the same thing. But yet all of these guys, they all saying one name. But when people speak on that one name, they'll tell you how he ain't the face of boxing. So they'll discount anything that his team say, no matter how formidable, no matter how airtight, lock solid. I always say, man, if everybody are kicking cans, Tank is knocking his the fuck out on the highest level. Like, because they'll pick and choose when somebody is somebody and when somebody is not, because the same stuff that they're going to say about Keyshawn is the same thing that they were saying about Frank. The same thing. All in the build up and all that. Like, well, before it was confirmed, they were saying he would never fight him. They were saying he would never fight Frank Martin. Oh, he'll never fight a guy like he, man. He too slick for Tank. He shut him up. Knocked him out. They said, oh man, like he was, because right in the build-up, they were saying this is a cherry pick and you know it, and he should be. I'm like, man, you just being on that side, it's exhausting when everybody runs that same play. And so here go Keyshawn jumping in that same lane, and I'm just exhausted, man. Like, I think the Shakur shit, that was the last thing that took everything out of me, man. All of that shit that was going on. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Now Shakur, he done calmed down. Now he talking like, I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know what happened with Shakur. I don't know, man. He talking all different now. But whenever Coach Kenny bring up Andy Cruz or Abdullah Mason, oh man. So he's giving these guys their props. But when he bring them up, they're roadblocks. But then you'll have somebody like Eddie. And Eddie, it's a long list. I'm the kind of roadblock Eddie is putting up. It's not the kind that's in the middle of this road. I'm gonna tell y'all how the kind of roadblock Eddie's doing. We're gonna get to that. But when Eddie come out and say that you gotta fight Andy Cruz before you get to Tank, oh man, everybody's switching they switching their spots. The leopards are changing their spots. That's like a whole different standard. I'm like, hold on, man. So, but some people are saying, yeah, well, Eddie got a point. I'm like, so how do Eddie got a point? But Coach Kenny don't got a point. When Coach Kenny has one interest in mind, like in that regards, like that's Tank. Eddie got several interests over there in mind. So I don't really understand it, but I'm telling you, like literally, I was literally minutes before I was getting ready to go live. I'm just looking around, and this article popped up. I said, I had already had all of my examples, but I said, man, hold on, man. It's crazy that I just see this article and it pops up. So I'm citing fair use for criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. This is it. This is it right here. Look at this. Boxing News 24. I kind of got away from it. Hearn to Keyshawn Davis. Beat Andy Cruz or forget about Gervonta Davis. They got Andy Cruz right there. So that's attributed to Matchroom Boxing, Ed Mulholland, so he get his credit. Nation Vegas. This is a paper by Nation Vegas. Now we've read pieces of Nation Vegas before, so we have a history of the tone and that style of writing and what he communicates and who he likes and who he doesn't like. Promoter Eddie Hearn says Keyshawn Davis must fight his conqueror, Cuba's Andy Cruz, and defeat him if he wants a title shot against WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis. Keyshawn, 12-0 AKOs, has been trying to take a sneaky backdoor route to fight with King Tank by fighting hand-picked opposition and swerving his Andy Cruz 4-0 2 KOs, who, as Hearn points out, schooled him repeatedly in the amateurs, including in 2020 Olympic finals. It was all Keyshawn could do to score 1 point against Cruz as he was dominated. Hearn. Keyshawn must face Andy Cruz. Last Friday, Keyshawn defeated light welterweight Gustavo Lemos by a third-round knockout in Norfolk, Virginia. Lemos had lost his last fight against Richardson Hitchens on April 6th, which made him eligible to be chosen by Keyshawn. That's crazy. Losing was the way to get picked. Sad but true. And what kind of upside-down world do we live in where Keyshawn picks his opponents when they're coming off a poor showing rather than a win? It's pathetic. That's a little heavy-handed because I think that fight with Richardson Hitchens, it wasn't a poor showing in my book, but it was a loss. That's a fact. Hearn wants Keyshawn to show some backbone by facing Cruz to show the world he deserves a fight against Tank Davis, because the way things are now, he doesn't rate to meet with the face of boxing. The face of boxing. Ay. Tank and his management aren't going to be fooled by the backdoor method Keyshawn is trying to take to fight against him. They want to see quality wins, not victory over substandard opposition. I love Keyshawn. I think he's a great fighter and is getting better and better, said promoter Eddie Hearn to the media. Praise to lightweight contender Keyshawn Davis. When a fighter comes 5 pounds over or 6 pounds over or whatever it was, it's not because they're struggling at the weight. The camp and everything is broken down in that fight. So I don't think it was the same. Gustavo Lemos that fought Richardson Hitchens, but I think that's irrelevant. Keyshawn, demolished him, and that's what you've got to do sometimes. You got to go in there, and the crowd looked great in Norfolk, Virginia. Keyshawn did what any fighter in the lightweight division would have done if they'd been fed a slow, non-skilled fighter like Lemos last Friday night. He looked so bad. If Lemos had fought the 20-year-old Abdullah Mason, it would have been the same result, but a much faster knockout because he's got more talent than Keyshawn. They going hard. And Lemos, man, he does have skills now. He was, we'll get into it. But this is a heavy-handed article right here. Cruz schooled Keyshawn. It's great for boxing. Keyshawn is a great young fighter, and in time, I think he'd be great fight for Gervonta Davis, said Hearn. But he still lost 4 times to Andy Cruz, our fighter, and he never beat Andy Cruz. Jerron Ennis can also confirm that, and Bozy can confirm that because he trains Andy Cruz. You don't need trainer Derek Bozy, Ennis, and Jerron Ennis to confirm that Cruz schooled Keyshawn 4 times. It's in the record books and on YouTube. It's part of history, and it will always be there forever. So I think if Keyshawn wants to fight before Gervonta Davis, sign us up for Andy Cruz. He took him to school 4 times, and he'll be ready to do it again, said Hearn. And it got the zone boxing man, Dan the man. Andy Cruz now 3-0 and has looked better and better with each performance. Keyshawn Davis, don't duck this smoke. Cruz wants you next. So my question is, with Kenny saying it, it's a roadblock. With Eddie saying it, it's not. Who's right and who's wrong? Who's right and who's wrong? I think people who control the narratives these days, they have it. The people that's going to get behind certain things and co-sign certain things and appeal to certain behaviors. Because it is kind of crazy, because Blair was on earlier and I was going to use him as an example in the thing that Eddie Hearn did. The thing that Eddie Hearn actually did when it came to Blair. See, at first, when Blair did it at first, when he first did it, Boots was outside of a fight, and I was just like, man, I was thinking to myself, like, who this guy? Like, I'm like, man, what is he doing? Like, I was thinking about the same, because I didn't really know. I knew a little bit, but I didn't really know. I'm like, and at first I'm like, okay, so you fast forward to this most recent fight where he pulls up at the press conference. So this guy, like, when you talk about people, like, because people, they'll tell you they want you to do certain things. Like, certain fans will tell you, man, I want my fighter, man, pull up to a press conference, pull up to a fight, say his name. Well, Blair did that twice. He pulled up on him after a fight. He pulled up on him at a fight. He pulled up on him after his fight. He got into the press conference, and then he didn't even do it like disrespectful. He got into the press conference. He talked his ordeal. He said, listen, man, I want this, I want that. Eddie said, you can have Karan. Fight Karan first, and then you can have Boots. What is that? Is that a roadblock? No, because he's a promoter, right? So that's not a roadblock. But by definition, that is a roadblock. That's like, oh, I got to fight this guy to get to that guy. So how does that work when certain people do that? So when Shakur say, all right, fight Abdullah to Floyd, you see the slippery slopes. That's why it's like, dang, well, depending on what the situation is, we got to evaluate it, because who's right and who's wrong? Also, when he pulled up on TBV and he was talking straight to Bill, he said, listen, I got a date. This can be the time. Let's do it in February. Let's make it happen. Those guys said everything but let's fight. Then they got Blair to admit that he didn't have a fight on deck like scheduled. And then later on in the conversation, they admitted that they didn't have a fight on deck scheduled. But that was the same time when they were trying to reach out to get to Teofimo. And then as late as yesterday, there were reports that they were actually negotiating. And everybody got upset about that. I was like, man, dude, are we in the era of real boxing fans? Why? Because somebody didn't report it first. They didn't say they had a deal. They didn't say the fight was on. They said they're in negotiations for a mega fight in 2025. That's all they said. They didn't say nothing. So to me, it's almost like T.O. kind of showed his hand when he came out and said, look, I don't have any contract. I don't do this. And people were like, look at you. Reporting fake news. It's like, no, it's not fake news if they actually negotiate. If there were talks behind the scene, is that not negotiating? Which leads me to my next roadblock. Fans. Sometimes fans be the biggest roadblocks in boxing. Because fans, they'll call for something that don't make no sense. And the things that do make sense, that are legacy, that do mean something, they don't support it. So what has happened in boxing? What has happened is Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are about to be the biggest thing smoking this weekend. The biggest thing smoking this weekend. And aside from the people that they're getting paid and and all of that, aside from that, because there is some good in it, aside from that, how did that happen in our sport? It happened because we have a lot of roadblocks. We let a lot of people get in the way and get in between these fights. And we'll condone it, not knowing that we're setting a precedence. Like if we allow Canelo to say, hey man, you gotta fight this person, that person. And it kind of looked bad when he told David Benavidez that he gotta go fight Caleb Plant and Boo Boo, and he went and did that, and he didn't fight him. But then he still got blamed when he moved up and said, listen, man, I'm gonna go ahead and go up to light heavy, and I'm gonna get it on like Donkey Kong, because I'm not gonna sit around in mode waiting in line for this guy. So he got it that way. Why? Because of the fan base. So that's the real answer. The fan base dictate whether or not it's a roadblock or not. Because if you think that it's in defense of somebody not fighting your fighter, like I would, man, like if Keyshawn and Tank fought, sign me up. What I'm saying is the energy right now to go towards pushing that right now, it ain't. Why? When you know it ain't gonna happen. It's wasted energy, man. I try to preserve my energy in today's day and time. I try to preserve my sanity in today's day and time. So it's really based on the fan base, whether or not it's a real roadblock or not. Because if Coach Kenny and Shakur use the same roadblock, let's just say they both say, all right, we'll fight Abdullah. Is it still a roadblock? It's not a roadblock when Keyshawn said to put one up between him and Schofield. But it's a roadblock because Coach Kenny says it, and he's part of Tank's team. That makes absolutely no sense. Because they, like, if you look at all the titles in the videos, all these guys that's sitting down and asking these guys, man, you can learn just from how these guys sit down and talk to these guys. You can learn a lot about these other fighters talking to these guys, because they sit down and they talk to these fighters and they ask them about all these other fighters and not them. Like, that's what they do. Every title, everything, like, you could be talking to somebody that got a fight coming up that night, that day. They're going to sit down and ask them people about Tank. You said, and then the title be Tank is not the hardest puncher in the world. Like, ain't this an interview about Richardson Hitchens? Why y'all got him talking about Tank's punching power? Like, it's wild, man. Listen, it was kind of actually hard to actually do some content today, because I sat back and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Right now, people are championing Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. Oscar has sold Ring Magazine to the Sheik from overseas. Jeez Louise. So people saying that they praising Jake Paul like he the face of boxing, and then they're ready to sell everybody to the Sheik, man. And this is the roadblock. This is why I put up Eddie for real. This is why I put him up. Because he does promote. But this is how Eddie roadblocks, man. And somebody can stop me when I'm lying. This is how Eddie roadblocks. Eddie will sign our talent and then do not allow them to fight nobody. That's why when people you know how I said I'm tired of jumping from, like, I'm tired of following the bouncing ball when it comes to all this cap from different people from different sides. Like when I said, man, it went from Devin to T.O. to the whole time Loma, then Shakur, now it's at Keyshawn, and it's just cap because they was all on Top Rank. Remember when I was saying that? I said, man, it's exhausting because they just do the same play and all the belts are over there with Top Rank. And those guys are not fighting each other. They're just waiting around for him. Remember how I said that? I also said that it's so crazy when all them people jumped on the D-Hive, when all them D-Hive, when they started swimming, I said it's so crazy how y'all forget about Eddie when y'all was some of the people was out here calling everything in the world, running down a whole rap shoot on Eddie, when the whole Deontay Wilder and AJ debacle happened. They can tell you all day about, oh man, Eddie is this and that. I'm like, well, how do y'all change? How does that change now that, okay, so that changed when you're talking about Eddie and Devin. So what happened with Eddie and, let y'all tell it. It was Eddie's fault that the whole Wilder stuff. They blamed it for years. They blamed it on Eddie. They still do. So I'm like, well, how are y'all campaigning for Eddie now that since Devin with him? Like, you notice how whoever Devin get with, they campaign or champion? Because there's no consistency in it. So what Eddie was doing, Eddie was signing talent. He was signing talent, and then the fights was not happening. I said when Subriel Matias went over there, I said, man, listen, man, Subriel got to be careful. He can't just, man, Subriel can't just go over there and just, you know, he got to, man, I don't know, man, because look at Demetrius Andrade. I said, look at Demetrius Andrade, man. He went over there he was on the island. He was over there on that island with Triple G and Canelo. He never got to fight either one of them. And they fought each other 3 times. So I said, look at that example. Then I said, okay, well, look, let's look at Subriel. Who did he fight? I said, I didn't want him to go over there to just be defense, and he never get an opportunity to unify. So he went over there when Eddie got an affiliation with Devin, didn't even get to sniff Devin. Didn't even get to sniff him. It was an afterthought, you know what I'm saying? I guess for I think the Hitchens fight could have went down, but he wound up getting Paro. So and then after he lost to Paro, they dropped him. Right? When they signed Boots, you would think, okay, Boots is at 47, Conor Benn is at 47. Conor Benn, Boots, and Devin, they all were chasing Adrian Broner, because if you think about it, Devin was chasing, allegedly, he was chasing Mikey Garcia, Robert Easter. Remember all that? Remember that? They all were chasing AB. Blair got him first. So now, oh, nah, man, nah. But you would think if Boots was going over there to Matchroom, and I did a video that it didn't get no likes. I guess the algorithm shut that all the way down. But the elephant in the room was, how did Boots go over there to Eddie Hearn and not have a Conor Benn fight? So Shakur went over there. There was no Devin, no Andy Cruz. So you acquired talent. But we did hear reports of Cordina. I mean, he kind of took care of took care of Ammo, but even it's just like Richardson Hitchens, he's just now kind of getting around to getting what he wants. Like him getting this title shot, yes. So Eddie's done a good job, but Richardson Hitchens wanted Montana love. He didn't get Montana love. He got put on a path because that was, you know, that Lemos was disciplined enough to make weight, and he didn't fight that reckless style like that. I said that Lemos was Pitbull Cruz with bells and whistles. He just was sloppy, and I don't know what the hell was going on with him. I'm not taking away from Keyshawn's victory. It wasn't the same Lemos, but Hitchison took a path that was kind of like this. It's been slow and steady, but he is doing it through the IBF, and you know, he was pacing himself because he realized it's a marathon, not a race. With Tito Mercado, when he signed up, I said, man, I like the fact that a major platform is getting him, or, you know, a major promoter is getting him. But we had no news of who he was going to fight. He one of the youngest, dangerous, he one of them guys, man, that's very dangerous, that's going to come out of, like, and blindside a lot of people at 40. I called him the Maze Runner, because when he signed up, who was he signed up to fight? Jaleel Hackett, he wound up getting a Pete Dobb. I give Eddie full credit for that because he got a Pete Dobb. And I think Jaleel is coming up. I think he's coming up again. Eddie did a great job with Bam. He did. But a lot of the pieces that he actually acquired it's almost like how like let's just say a team like, okay, let's say the Steelers, right? They known for drafting high quality wide receivers, right? Mike Tomlin can recognize them breakout wide receivers. He has a knack for picking out them star wide receivers. Well, there are some people that as soon as they make their cut, anybody else over there that the Steelers cut that have a wide receiver attachment to it, there's another team that's going to grab it. And they might grab it and hold it when they already got their whole lineup. But if they knew that guy, because they do their homework, if they knew that wide receiver had potential to go to somewhere where they was going to have to face that guy, knowing that the Steelers grabbed him, he just didn't get in where he fit in, they're going to grab him and hold him so that the opponent, so that their op can't get a hold of him. That's happening in boxing. That's happening in boxing. And that's happening a lot, man. When you look at the roster that he got over there, if you look at all of the talent that Eddie got over there and you line them up with the kind of opponents, like there's stuff that's going on over there that don't make sense. It's in-house. It's two fights right now. Eddie, they looking around. I say it's like an equivalent of somebody talking on their phone or walking around with their keys in their hand, talking about, man, I'm gonna go as soon as I find my keys in my phone, and they got their key ring around their finger and they phone up to their ear, and they're like, oh, the answers you need are right in hand. How you got Boots and Ben? You got Shakur and Andy Cruz. You got two Olympians. And you gave him Cordina. But you saying Keyshawn got to fight Andy to get Tank. So make that make sense, y'all. I'm not sure. So now, because the purse bid situation, I just see that, man, Eddie been acquiring a lot of talent, and it's just like, okay, if it was word out there that it was said that if there was going to be a Shakur and Tank fight, don't go sign to Eddie Hearn, and Shakur go sign to Eddie Hearn, is that not a roadblock? You know how in dominoes, right? I don't know if y'all know how to play dominoes. You know in dominoes, you sitting there looking at your hand and everybody around, you know what I'm saying? And you know you can count dominoes, right? It's all locked up. You know they can't go there. You know how they say when somebody play a domino and then they be like, oh man, you let them out the gate. Like everybody at the table knew that this person couldn't, and you let them out. You trying to knock domino, you let them out because that's what Eddie be doing, man. That's what he be doing, man, because nobody has yet to explain. They'll try to just glaze all around this, but nobody has yet to explain how could a man come out and say he want undisputed and go to a whole different label where none of the belts were. And you don't have nothing, no answers, but everything is he gonna beat Tank. Okay, I understand. Let's just say he can beat Tank. How can he beat Tank if he goes over to elsewhere and not make the deal happen? That's like a little, it's like it's almost like It's almost like Eddie give these guys a little, almost like a little safe haven. Hey, yeah, come on over here, man. Come on over here, man. We're gonna feed you sweets. We're gonna give you somebody coming off of a knockout loss, and then we're gonna give you, I know, man. They tough guys over here, but we're gonna give you what they would deem as their domestic level talent, and they're never gonna see the top tier talent. Like, don't argue with me. Don't argue with me, because I came out a while ago. I'll put in the work. Like, I did it in real time. Like, I didn't microwave this. I was analyzing this shit all the way down. It's crazy. I got to pull up an article just to justify some shit that I said. But I had said a while ago that it was trouble in paradise. Why? Because whenever they go head to head, the guy on the far right is whooping Eddie's ass. Ben said it. I've been said it. And when I first started looking at it, when everybody was trying to sell us up the river, when everybody was just sitting up there on bended knee talking about kiss the ring and all this, I was like, damn, is he a real sugar daddy? And I said, listen, I'll cut him some slack. Now, I gave him credit for the marquee fights that he got. Undisputed at heavyweight, check. He got undisputed at light heavyweight, check. I'll give him that. It's like 3 fights I gave him credit for. And I said, you know what? He did that. He got those across the finish line. So I give him credit for the things that he done, because we keep it binary. You don't get all this credit for shit you haven't done yet. Because people love to do that. It's almost like clout. You get all this energy, all this praise over shit and attention for stuff that you haven't even done yet. You haven't even done anything to deserve it, but we give it to you. I wasn't doing that with Sheik. I was making Sheik earn it the hard way. So when everybody was getting ready to sell us up the river, I started looking at it. And I said that this guy was nothing more than this. That's all it was. I kept reading the story. I read the stories. I was going over the terminology and what was going on, and I asked the question, a serious question. I said, were they doing this? Were they making American boxing great again? I said, well, you got to think about it. Are they making American boxing great again or not? Because when I asked the question, and up underneath of it, it had the Matchroom curse. But remember when I said it's like when people pastor get up and say it's more appreciated. So when Oscar De La Hoya came out and did the clapback Thursdays and he brought up the Matchroom curse, everybody was like, oh, that is right. And they started looking at it. I was like, okay, so that's the difference between what I was saying and what Oscar's saying. Way more popular, way more tenured, way more accomplished. I get it. But I was asking, and while I was asking, were they making American boxing great again? Because they were picking our talent. And they were fighting. I understand you're gonna have to fight a couple of guys across the pond, like on some of those guys, but not all of them. And that's been the track record. Picking these guys up, sending them over there, and giving them to his guy over there, or making them, or they lose their belt. Get them belts popped off of you, or have you, like, because I don't know what going 24 rounds with Karen. I don't even see what the purpose. I don't know what, like, that. I don't know what that do for Boots. I don't know what that do for Boots. That's why I said if I was Blair, I would call that bluff. I would go ahead and fight Karan, and I would get his ass up out of there. And that would raise a whole lot of questions. And that's a bluff call, because he put that offer out. He would have to eat it. But then again, look at what he's offering. Blair, and you have to kind of take him serious, because that's not the first time that he went up to a press. Like, nobody took him serious at first. That's not the first time he went up there and approached Boots, like somewhere at a venue or something, like saying, hey, listen, man, let's fight. Let's do this. Let's get it on. Let's whatever. Like, however you want to see it, whether you like him as a fighter. That's not the first time. He's done it multiple times now. So the same energy that he's displaying now is the same energy that they be saying that they want other fighters to do. It's like, oh, nah, man, you got to go to the fight, man. You got to call him out. You got to do it. And when he do that, they say, oh, man, he don't want no smoke. He a clown. Certain fans of other fighters won't even come around and ask and talk or do nothing, because they feel like, oh, if I ask or talk and do this, then I'm going to be in trouble with this guy over there. It's a bunch of bullshit online. Bullshit. But I was saying that they making American boxing great again based on the binary, the soccer balls going in goals, balls going in holes. Binary. Did you hit or not? Did you make some money or not? Did you win that scratch off ticket or nah? Not all of this. Oh man, well yeah, he's doing all this. Well, what exactly did he do? Oh well, you know, he did sign this. Okay, so when he signed him, who did he fight? Well, you know, man, look, man, he was able to acquire. Okay, listen, man, who did he fight? Who did you get him in a ring with that we care about? Because when it boiled down to it, you just got riled up and kicked around and this happened to you. You got divided and conquered. You done got splintered like a motherfucking fraction and divided amongst the boxing fans, and you didn't progress at all from the things that he did. So what did he do? What has he been doing? This man been putting up more roadblocks than a little bit. I'm surprised that, and it's crazy coming from Eddie, and the fact that I had to use that, because Eddie ain't the one that will put up a roadblock for Tank. He was trying to sign the man. That's what makes it so disgusting, because if Tank would have gave in and signed anything up with the Sheik or went over there with Eddie, man, the stuff that they doing for these other fighters, ain't no telling what they'd be doing for Tank. Ain't no telling, man. They might be at the press conference with halter tops on and lip gloss, man. I don't know, bro. For the way they go for these other guys, I'm not sure. It would have been interesting. But to hear Eddie say, "Hey, man, Keyshawn, you got to fight Andy Cruz, the guy that's out here calling you his son, that beat you, that took away your dream." Like, that's what Coach Kenny said. He said, "Man, this man took away your Olympic gold medal dream, and you don't have nothing to say, and you so respectful to him." I was even saying, man, he was so respectful about the Vargas boys and all that after that, but so disrespectful to Tank. I was like, can't y'all, don't that kind of sound kind of funny? Ain't that kind of fishy? I was listening to the Boxing Voice earlier. That dude, Jahan Ingram, got up there and said that there was a point in time when Floyd had told him to tweet and start a beef with Tank. And then lo and behold, right after this Keyshawn stuff, you see all these pictures with him and Floyd and all this. It's like, you don't have to be in the know to know. You just got to be paying attention to what's going on. Take off your rose-colored glasses, man, and look at history and facts and data. That's, people like me have to go by that. People like me have to put it out in real time, how I was thinking and what was going on at that time. Let some time go by, because the truth sometimes it comes out a little bit later. Let some time go by and then see how it pans out. And for the most part, man, about 90, it's in the 90s. It's in the 90s. I'm in the 90s, man, as far as how stuff pan out. It's very seldom often, and that's some wild card stuff. The stuff that happened. You have to do it like you know how they recorded your Atlas? How they had to go, like how they had to be around for that many seasons to tell you and record how much precipitation was it this year? How much rain did they get this year? How many crops was yielded? How much did the tomatoes do? Like, how much was the harvest? They have to do that like an Atlas year after year and record and record and record, and then they can have data that they can look at and say, oh, okay, that's the track record. Almost like how people be saying about the resume. Like the resume, like the people you fought actually, you know, said something about you. It does. It does. But that's a track record. Eddie, you gotta look at Eddie's track record. He's done some phenomenal things. When it comes to being a mouthpiece and being, I always say that Eddie is the happy medium between Al, who we never see, and then Oscar De La Hoya, who is just, you never know what you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? A wild card, like you might get some freaky deaky stuff. You might get some, you know what I'm saying, You know, you never know. I always say Eddie is like the happy medium between them, where he can be the mouthpiece. So as far as promoting and talking well about you, and you know, stirring up a conversation and having tactics as far as getting this in the mix and coordinating, he's one of the best at doing that. Why? Because you can't even talk to Al. You don't even hear from him. He just shit happen, and people get to pick up shit and just throw it and see if it stick and see if enough people say, and they just keep going and going, and they wait till some shit come out and that stuck. I told you, after all this time I've been right. Al is the one that's like, he's making the biggest moves, but you never see him. You got Oscar on the other end where you might see him, and he did a burial for his lady in her boobs. Like, she took him out, he did a burial. He's going on fire with this clapback, but he's to the extreme. Eddie is like right in the middle, but that's as far as promoting. When you look at the action, when you look at the fighters he signed and the kind of fights that they fought, because listen, Ray Ford got a belt popped off of him. Emma Williams got stopped for an eliminator. Sabril Matias got a belt popped off of him. Regis got a belt popped off of him. Do I gotta keep going on? Richardson Hitchens, he's getting ready to get his title. Tito Mercado, he missed out. He signed, but he missed out on his fight. Boots fought the same guy twice. Karan, Avanesian, Karan. I don't know, man. Karan, Avanesian, Karan. He got the bag, so you can't say nothing about him getting them paid. But like, let's look at the fights and the implications of that. And instead of Blair being able to get a shot, he got to go through Karan. I would call his bluff and do it. I would do it if I was Blair. I mean, they're gonna use your age. They're gonna use all these things that they don't use for anybody else. They're gonna use it for him if you look like the semblance of a threat. If people say, "Oh man, that'd be easy work for Boots," why don't he go pick up that Happy Meal then? If Blair's a Happy Meal, go get that. But Eddie put a roadblock up. But Coach Kenny and them, they can't say nothing without it being taught or being perceived as some kind of roadblock. It's like, no, they commenting and talking their stuff just like everybody else, but their stuff have more weight to it. It's just like when Tank came out, he was sitting down with Cigar Talk, and he was like, yeah, tell him rematch De Los Santos, and he can have, and I'll fight him. Oh man, look at all these roadblocks. It's like, nah, man, like the fans was asking to see that again. They set a record. But that was perceived as a roadblock. Shakur say, hey, Schofield, get with my young boy Abdullah. Everybody, okay. But Schofield was already right next in line. Why would he, like, if they would line that up, yeah, but they know damn well, like, that's not how that shit work, man, over there. They know all them guys got a plan. They got something going on. But we pick and choose what these roadblocks is. So if two people use one guy, like let's say if Coach Kenny used Abdullah Mason as a roadblock and Shakur use him as a roadblock, won't that cancel each other out? Won't they cancel each other out a little bit? If we doing proper math? I'm not sure. I'm just thinking that, man, we gotta police up our standards, man, because there's a lot of people out here looking goofy from day to day, man. And they can label themselves as trolling one day or trying to create some traction on the channel like the next day. But it's no consistency. Roadblocks are roadblocks, man. Common sense will tell you. We know when it's a roadblock. We know when it's like, nah, why should he have to do that? Or why should that have to happen in order to do that? It's like, because you already know that the label you on are infamous for only really doing in-house, unless it's so they'll use the exception to the rule to justify some bullshit. Yeah, like they'll use the biggest fights that would have been made cross promotional to justify like the shit that don't ever happen because the money ain't right. We all know that when the money is right, it ain't no problem in making the fights. Most of the time, it be the money. Who gonna put up the money if the fight makes sense? If it's a high enough demand, all of this and all of that. Most of the time, that be the thing that prevent it, right? So the example would be like if Teofimo and Devin Haney fought right now. Who would have to be begging for a whole lot of money? Like whatever they get. If you want to get caught up in the whole guarantee shit, I don't like pocket watch and all that. They should be able to establish if that's the whole thing, or people pick and choose the whole guarantee. Like it don't come out of somewhere in the back end. Like it's just a guarantee that rains through the snow. That's what you getting up front. That's all that is. But people love to, oh man, he got $5 million guaranteed and all this bullshit. Like, and we don't know because they really don't disclose that shit. They really don't. They should be able to get a big enough guarantee, have a large enough venue, and do pay-per-view and be able to pay everybody. It meets the green print. It meets the, it meets the whole, because at one point in time, they wanted T.O., Devin, Tank, and Ryan. It fits that. You know what I'm saying? It'll be two of those guys that'll fit that, the green print and the history. It'll fit that. That's one of them fights where it's like, why wouldn't everybody get behind it and say we need it, we need it, we need it? Why? Because somebody bullshitting. Somebody bullshitting on that fight. Somebody putting up a roadblock right now. It's some fans out here putting up roadblocks. It's some people that was so busy, they was out in the mess hall with their chest out, and then the fact that actually came out is actually calling some people's bluff. Like, oh, okay, were you serious? Were you serious about that? And then it's like, oh, no, that's never going to happen. It's like, well, I don't know what land we living in. I'm going to keep it boxing fan-ish. You know what I'm saying? I just happen to create content. So I got to give myself time to, be a fan and stay abreast and fall back in love with the sport. So sometimes I let this shit go for a little while and just sit back and watch, wait, learn, and listen. And I started seeing different behavior from certain people. Like I started seeing a different behavior from Shakur. It alarmed me. I started seeing a different behavior from Keyshawn. And I'm just like, I'm not going through that no more, man. I'm not going through that no more. There's some people that's gonna say, yeah, we want it. You know we can't have it. But the fights that we can have, the boxers that are actually going to a press conference, the boxers that are actually pulling up on a podcast saying, nah, man, I ain't say that. I'm saying let's get the smoke. I got a venue. I'm free. I'm gonna be reasonable with the money. They say, oh, he don't want to fight. Like, man, out here in this world, I don't know what kind of men we have out here in this world, man. I don't know what kind of men. She give you the number. She say, what time you normally getting home? What you like to sip on? Like she got everything. Like what's your favorite food? She asks you all of that stuff, and she say, okay, so shoot, what you doing tomorrow? What you doing tomorrow about 8? Oh, what you like? What you like to drink? Oh, okay, that's cool. What you like? What's your favorite food? Oh, okay, cool. You gotta get up early in the morning. They get on the phone. Man, she ain't trying to do nothing. I'm like, what else do you need? She ain't trying to do nothing, man. Roadblocks, man. Roadblocks in boxing, man. You gotta love it, man. You gotta find a way to rejuvenate and basically. Sometimes you gotta turn it around. You got, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes over the couch, you know what I'm saying, in the kitchen with boxing. You gotta do that with boxing, y'all. I don't know what kind of love life y'all got, but some people are just every day. This is it. That's it. Every day. No variance. It's just the same old shit, dog. Just a different day. That's all it is, man. It's like, man, hey, you gotta find a way to fall in love with boxing, man. You gotta find a way to fall back in love with boxing, man. Because if you follow the bouncing ball and where it's going, like the fact that people are campaigning for Jake Paul and selling this up the river to the sheik right now, it's like it tells you everything about boxing. But who am I but a content creator? That's all I really had, man. Let's cut this roadblocks and boxing shit. You know when people got different energy. You know when people really want that smoke and when they really don't. You know. So stop, I say silence is consent, meaning that if you know about something and you're not saying nothing, then you agree. All it takes for evil men to prevail is for grown men to remain silent and not say nothing. This is Fruits and Veggies, fact-based content. The alternative to opinion-based. I have mine, but I try to justify them in things that I've seen and hear. And a lot of times I might say something and I hope that it's right. And if I'm wrong, I can admit it. Matias still advised by Heyman, I think. Bronze Man, salute. Okay. Cookie Monster. Bodywork, salute. Sounding good as usual. Cookie Monster. AC, salute. Bodywork. Yeah. But that's it, man. That was it. I'm keeping these about an hour, man. It's so many examples. And I said, you know what? I can use all these examples, and guess what? Some people are just going to explain it away. They're going to politic it away. But hey, it's some bosses out here that are doing the real things, you know what I'm saying? And then it's some people that just they won't fully. I heard somebody, listen, I'm gonna get off after this. I heard somebody, they kept saying that they kept referring to, after this performance, they kept referring to Boots detractors. I said, how are you a detractor? See, being a detractor now is when you keep things honest. When you are honest about somebody, you're a detractor if that's not what they want to hear. See, people, they want to hear what they want to hear, not what's really going on. If you say, hey, look, I seen Boots get buckled at least 5 times. Oh, you detracted. It's like, no, I seen them get buckled 5 times by a dude that ain't have no power. He couldn't beat the clinch. Did y'all see what happened? Did y'all see that one time when Ray Ford was fighting? I think it happened with Ray Ford. In that Ray Ford fight, man, dude went to go clinch, and the way Ray Ford broke it down, he did that little, like, you let your arms out, he did that squatting motion, he came off. Like, there are techniques for that. Like, and you can tell who know how to do it and who know how to get that separation, because people who know how to do it, it's the same thing that I think Earl Spence had told Devin one time. The same thing, he was either, I think it was Devin at the time. Like, man, you gotta learn how to break that clinch, man. It's part of the game. But that's why I said, man, it don't make no sense. It don't make any sense really to really put your neck out for a lot of these guys when it comes to like supporting them. You support them by in the fight and supporting them by being honest about that's the best way to support somebody, is to be honest, man. I want people around me that's gonna be honest with me, man. That's gonna keep it straight up and down, straight down the middle with me. Don't be up here fluffing my pillow for me and shit. I hate that shit. I don't feel right. If it's right, it's right, but don't overdo it. I don't even like. I can't stand it. But there are some fighters that it don't even make no sense to even really. It don't make no sense to really like stick your neck out for them. Because either way, you're gonna get painted as a hater, and all you're really doing is keeping it straight down the middle on them. The honest assessment is, if somebody else had power and touched Boots like that in that fashion, it would be a wrap. The other day, somebody didn't even want to listen. They really wasn't listening to what I was saying. But I was basically saying, listen, if Brian Norman Jr. had the opportunity to touch Boots the way Karan did, he would have put him down. In my opinion, I believe that's a fact. I believe that's a fact. Because Brian Norman got some power. He got some power. He's a heavy hitter. Like, he's a puncher. He be punching. And I said, especially if Boots do like he did in this fight where he did not listen to his corner. And then Boots came out and said, I didn't listen to my dad. And people still say, oh man, you just detracted. It's like, no, you just want somebody to put on some knee pads, and it ain't even that deep, cuz. People are just being fair about their assessment just like they do with everybody else. You can't be fair in the assessment because listen, remember how people were saying, oh man, Ryan, man, look at him, man. He was so undisciplined, he ain't even coming on weight, man. Man, nobody don't take him serious. Okay, so what was so did that change when Lemos came in over like that? Oh, but that's different. That's different, right? That's a whole different conversation than with Ryan, right? Because the only thing that really saved the whole Ryan ordeal was the fact that they found that ostarine in his system. That was the only difference. Man, oh man, look at him, man. He wasn't even disciplined. He didn't even make weight. But but this guy who just fought and put on that dynamite performance against Lemos, he turned Lemos to lemonade. Totally different standard, right? Right. He wasn't disciplined, man. That wasn't even the same guy. If you point that out, oh, you're just hating. If you point the fact out that Top Rank came out with that little, oh, man, and I meant to tell y'all, man, look, I'm gonna tell you, man, I told y'all what these dudes do, man. That just jogged my memory, man. I seen somebody, like, they snuck it in. I seen somebody run, like, y'all remember, go back. If you haven't seen this video, go back and look at this video. It's a couple lives ago. I did the stock market at 35. I seen buttfuck tuberculosis rerun my whole shit last night. My whole shit. If you go back and look at this, but they'll tweak it to their advantage to try to get their message across. If you go back and look at what I said about this guy right here and this guy, and me and AC was on here going back and forth, I text AC immediately. I said, man, look at this dude. Look at this dude running my whole shit. Oh man. Different standards, man. Different standards out here. I was doing this. Let me see. Yeah, I did the lightweight stock, the stock market with an emphasis on the lightweight division, and I ran down my whole shit. It's been some time now, so he added some things to it, but ran down my whole shit as if he knew all this time, like it hadn't been done before. That's why I say they just waited a couple of days later, act like they just did it. Well, it's a good thing that the video was out here already. But we work on our standards, or our standardizations. We work on our standardizations. Cause nobody say nothing about a man bringing a man down 5 pounds and getting all the credit in the world for obliterating a guy that missed weight. But a champion can't move up 5 pounds after having already fought there more times than the current champion at that division without catching all that flack. But a silver medalist can go take a stay busy fight to fight his mandatory, and that's acceptable, in which he was going to fight a guy coming off of a knockout loss, and that was acceptable. So really, it boils down to who you're a fan of, and you know which promotional company you banging. You know what I'm saying? I'm not banging none of them. I got fighters that's in all of them, all of the promotional companies. So how can I be mad at Sheik for paying Anyway, I like Anyway. So what, I'm gonna start not liking Anyway because he down with the Sheik? He wanted to go get a little bag from the Sheik. So I'm supposed to hate him now? That's what people get it twisted. They'll think that you don't like something because you're putting out the truth on something. But the fact of the matter is, man, people just don't like the truth, man. They don't like the truth. The truth is uncomfortable, especially when you're not used to telling it and living in it and walking in it, you know, and surrounding yourself around it. It's like holding a mirror up to somebody. They got a whole lot of blemishes. It's not, they like, oh man, hold on, man, get that up. Like, you know, that's why people like to have shit covered in dark and, you know, always, you know, that's how they be. That's really everything, man. Support the little guys, man. I'm building brick by brick. I think last month we got 18 subscribers, and people gonna be like, ha ha. It's like, yeah, I'm earning these. You know what I'm saying? I'm not clicking up to get these. I'm not joining those squads to get these. I'm getting these the hard way by just putting in work, being myself, being consistent, and letting who rock with me. Who don't. I'm not putting one of these to nobody's head saying you better subscribe. I do ask that you support the channel and, you know, help out, because I think I do take more time in the construction of videos and the graphics and all that, because I want it to be interesting. You know what I'm saying? I want it to age right, and I try not to put things out that I had to come back and retrack and do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Other than a missed date or a fight being pushed back, I try not to put out information or say things that I regret later. You know, and sometimes that take time, man. Sometimes you gotta have all the facts. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta let shit build. You gotta get all of the clues. You gotta put the whole puzzle together. So many people be like, oh, I got this. They run out and go get one of these, but they ain't got one of these. You need this and this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have it all. They run out and get one of these. It's like, what you gonna do with that? You need something to put in it. I gotta wait to have that and another one. And another one. You know what I'm saying? I gotta have it and the backup. You know, that's just me, man. So if you rock with me, you rock with me. It's because, you know, I keep it all the way funky, man. And I try to be myself, man. I'm not trying to be nobody else. I'm not trying to appeal to anybody else. That's why I like Banks. I always say I'll be the Lloyd Banks of this shit. Like, where I can really walk away from this shit. I just like it. So I ain't gotta lie to you. I don't got a whole bunch of people that I gotta feed and a whole bunch of camps that I'm cool with that I gotta lie and clout chase for. I don't gotta do all of that. I don't have no affiliations. You know what I'm saying? I'm just me. That's it. So whatever the topic is, I'm gonna try to be as objective as I can about it. I'm gonna try to be as informed as I am about it. And if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. But I support all the young guys, like I always say, man. I always support the young guys. I hope that they go on to be great, man. I hope they fight each other so we can actually see it and everybody can lose their O, and then we can really see who, you know what I'm saying? In the perfect world, nobody would have an O. Somebody on some given day, somebody would rock everybody. Nobody would have an O. It would shed a whole bunch of walls down, and people would just have to get it. They would have to just be dogs and just fight everybody. That's what I want. But I'm not gonna play the politic game for some of them and ignore this and ignore that and over embellish on that and not point out this. That's not me. This is the kind of content I'm gonna do, man. So don't be out here talking about Coach Kenny putting up roadblocks and Eddie Hearn, man. He doing way more than putting up roadblocks. I give him credit for the positive things he's done, but when you look at him circumspectly, you put him under the light, measure him with a ruler. You know what I'm saying? Hit him with that compass. You gonna see, man, like he been getting in the way a little bit. He been making some moves that allow people to either be rest havens or safe havens or shelved. Like one of them wide receivers coming from Pittsburgh, you know what I'm saying, that they done dropped, but you don't want them to go over there and play for the Ravens. The Ravens, you know what I'm saying, don't want him to go over there and go nowhere that they might have to face him, so they might pick him up. You know what I'm saying? Something like that happens all the time. That's all I have for today, y'all. If you catch this on the playback, talk to me. I'll talk back, man. This is fact-based content, man, not opinion-based. Fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. The alternative to opinion-based. Thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to